Hi everybody, my name is Clio. I'm a American reader based out of Dublin, Ireland, and I have a lot of books that I've started to read and have not finished reading. So what we're going to do today is we're going to try to read some of these. It's currently 12:30. I have until like 3:30 because I have to leave for something. So we're going to see how much of this we can get through in those 3 hours. Right? Great. Cool. So, I have the books I have to read today are The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. This one I'm only at the start of here. I started this when I was on my internship, and then I just never finished it. I only started it, and it's not as fast paced as Good Girl's Guide to Murder. So I was like, I was struggling with the first, what was I on? The first 50 pages. But I do enjoy it, and I do like it. It's just not as fast paced as Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and so I was, I was trailing a bit. So I'm gonna hopefully read more of this because I do love how it's written, and I do love Holly Jackson. Next book I have to read is The Spellshop by Sarah Beth Durst. I'm halfway through this. Give or take, yeah, halfway through. This is a romantic novel that I was reading again during my internship. I just got busy during my internship and put it down. Didn't pick it back up. So, picking it back up time. I have The Well of Ascension, which if you saw my last video, you know that my friends Alex and Charlie have been harassing me to finish Mistborn. I finished Mistborn, guys. I'm 20 pages into The Well of Ascension. Alex is very pleased, by the way, that I finished Mistborn. He's very, very pleased. So I have to read that so that, so I'm filming this on a Wednesday, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, so the 26th, of November, and Thanksgiving's tomorrow, and he's gonna come over for a little bit before I go to a Thanksgiving party. So I need to read more of this before he comes over because otherwise he's gonna kill me. I know you're gonna see this, Alex. I love you so much. And then last but not least, we have The Last Devil to Die by Richard Osman, the 4th book in the Thursday Murder Club series. Me and Dylan have been working our way through it. Dylan's about out of his class hell, so gonna read this. I've had this checked out for a hot minute. I've renewed it a couple times, so I want to finish it so I can check it back in before I go back to the States. Also because I want to be able to make sure that I can leave my copy of the 5th book, Impossible Fortune, at home with my mom. So I want to be able to read this now, check it back in, read this over Christmas, hopefully, and then leave this with my mom. Because my mom's also reading the series, so I want to be able to read this with I want my mom to be able to read this. So that's the goal here. Also, I know I'm not looking at the camera very much. I've put it in a slightly different spot today, and it's throwing me off. I'm not used to looking up at the camera as much as I am. So we'll make do. Okay, there we go. Okay. Book put away. There we go. I can focus fully on you. So the goal for today is to hopefully read 200 or 300 pages. Whether that means I finish a book or not, I don't know. I might hop between these books. I do tend to do that. But the goal is to read like 200 or 300 pages, which is doable for me. We can read a 200-page book in an hour. I will probably have to put rotate between the books or put a book down and pick up something else. I've got you wrong hand. You can see back there. I have to turn the microphone so you can hear me. You can see back there that there's a little green bit in the back there. This is precarious. Back there, right there. That is the start of a jumper that I'm working on. So I might work on that a bit and yap at you guys. But yeah. Yeah. Book reading vlog. Fuck yeah. Now which book to start with? I think I'm going to start with the Spellshop because I really enjoyed that and I was really enjoying it and it's really like chill. Low stakes. You know, it's in that Legends and Lattes, Saint of Steel kind of area, and you guys know I like my romantasy. I like my chill little romantasy books. So I will be starting with that, I think. Yeah. I'm also going to be having my breakfast. Is it 12:30? Yes. Is it still my breakfast? Yes. I will be having my breakfast. While we film. There is got the coffee from there as well. There is a bagel place near where I live. And I went and got a bagel because I like bagels. I like this place a lot, so it's dangerous that it's so close to me. Also, we're gonna ignore how this is a state. It's a state. It's because a bunch of my prints have come down, and so they're all in here waiting for me to put them back up. I am too lazy to. Oh well. So yeah. With everything said and done, I'm gonna mute the microphone so I don't have to cut out the audio from the microphone sitting on my bed while I read. And I'm gonna get started. Yippee! Bagel's gone cold. It's fine. It's smoked salmon. Cold smoked salmon is good as well. So, while you watch me read, I'm going to tell you what the Spellshop is about. I'm going to start with the blurb on the back, of course, and then I'll just talk about the book a bit. So, the blurb on the back. A faraway island, a secret spellshop, an unexpected romance. Keela has always had trouble dealing with people. Thankfully, as a librarian at the Great Library of Elysium, she hasn't had to. She and her assistant Kaz, a sentient spider plant, have spent the last 11 years sequestered among the Empire's precious spellbooks. But when the library goes up in flames, Keela and Kaz have to flee to a remote island she never thought she'd see again, her childhood home. To Keela's dismay, she finds the Empire has been draining power from the island. With the help of an old spellbook and a nosy, if very handsome, neighbor, Keela is determined to make things right. But as she starts to make a place for herself, she realizes she must break down the walls she has kept so high. And this book is exactly what it says on the tin. It is a fantasy romance about moving back to your childhood home in the wake of a war, and realizing you don't really know who you are. Keela very much, has been living as if Keela the librarian is all she can and should be. And so a large portion of this book is spent with her trying to figure out who Keela from Caltry is. And grappling with the idea that the Empire is not all it cracked up to be. And that for all that she was safe, most people weren't. And she isn't necessarily going to be able to avoid this war forever. During the course of the book, there are things going on relating to the greater politics of Elysium going on in the background, and they do end up at Caltry's doorstep, and it is incredibly frightening for Keela. It's also sort of about the sort of self-centeredness of being a young adult, because for much of the events she assumes that everyone is coming for her. Everyone's looking for her because she stole spellbooks, and they have to know that she stole spellbooks. you know, and they had to have been able to figure it out. They had to have been able to find out that she was the one who stole them, that they didn't just burn. You know, it's sort of that, like, young adult sort of, like, everything is about me, everything is my problem and my fault and kind of thing, which I found quite relatable, but also quite interesting to read about. I think in a lot of, like, fantasy, you know, whether it's new adult or not, once you escape middle grade, you stop having characters who behave like teenagers or in their young 20s, behaving like teenagers or people in their young 20s. I mean, if you've ever been to university or been in a university setting or a setting with a lot of people from the ages of 18 to 24, you know that we are equally filled with drama and despair, as a high school is or a middle school is, right? And we are equally full of people who are, you know, self-centered, and I think all of us inherently are a little self-centered, at that age, and that's kind of normal. We're still figuring ourselves out, and we're in a society that doesn't like us figuring ourselves out. But it was nice to read about a character who is that kind of, like, in her early 20s, self-centered, thinks everything is about her, immediately on the offset, even if she's like, that's stupid, it can't possibly be about me. That's dumb. How the hell would they know it's me? How the hell would they know I'm the one who stole them? How the hell would they know this, that, or the other? She has that, like, immediate, like, it's gotta be about me. As a split second, like, gut response, and I found that quite entertaining to read about. I also found it entertaining to read about someone who's just like, no, leave me alone. Leave me alone with my books. Leave me alone with my books. I'll make my jam. Leave me alone. I can relate to this quite a lot because I am quite like that myself. I make my own jams and such. I will insert some photos here to show you, of said jams I've made. I made the cranberry sauce for Thanksgiving, which I am recording this voiceover on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, so through 2 days ago. I made the cranberry sauce for 2 days ago. And I have like a huge jar of marmalade in my fridge, that I need to work my way through that I made. So I very much like see myself a lot in Keela, but I also like think it's very entertaining to see a character who is like unabashedly self-centered in that way. Because that's something that I can't relate to very much. And so I just think it's fascinating to read about, and entertaining. And also the book is was really well written. Like, it's for a book that is, you know, a fantasy romance about a librarian falling in love with a shepherd. Like, it's pretty well written. It's really well written. It's not like overly melodramatic. You know, and the writing is filled with like life and warmth to it. There's a lot of life and warmth in the text and in the way things are described and in the way the magic works. The way the magic works is fascinating. It's very much like component-based magic. I would compare it almost to like the components in like a D&D spell. If you have ever played at a rules heavy table where they're like, no, you have to have every element, every item to cast a spell. It's like that. It's like a rules heavy D&D table in regards to like the elements that are the components required for a spell, and I think that's cool, really cool. But yeah, this book was super entertaining. I liked the mix of like political intrigue that's going on outside of the actual plot, but is like distinctly affecting the plot, and also the just like volatility of a like 20-something year old. Actually, does it say how old she is? I'm looking through the book to see if it names how old she is at any point. it'll probably say when she reaches Caltry. Yeah, so she's like... Yeah, she's 20. She's 20. She moved away from Caltry when she was 8 or 9. And she's been in Elysium for 11 years, so she's like 20. And she reads like a 20-year-old, and I like that. I think that's something that a lot of authors don't want to do, is have their 20-year-old characters read like 20-year-olds. So it's very pleasant that she reads like a 20-year-old, and reads a bit goofily, and a bit like self-centeredly. Because when you've only had yourself for company, everything is about you, you know? But yeah, this was a delightful book. I'm very excited for the sequel. I say this later in the video, but I'm gonna say it again here. I'm waiting for it to come out in a small paperback, so that it fits with all of my other books. But I cannot wait to read the second book of this series. Truly, it's good. I'm so excited. But yeah, that's what the Spellshop is about. And now I'm gonna stop doing a voiceover, because I am about to come up and in the video and talk to you about things that are happening in the book. I'm gonna do this at multiple points and interrupt my reading to talk to you guys. So there will come points in which I will just stop talking in the voiceover so that you can hear me, that you're watching, talk to you. I know, it's very, very, like, a lot of Inception going on here. I trust that you can understand what's going on. I love a plot twist. What the fuck? To anyone who's read this book, it is the last page of chapter 28. Hey, what the fuck? What the fuck? After all this stress, and she's just... Right. Okay. You scared everyone half to death. You absolute little... Witch is the wrong word. This is a book about witches. You absolute little fucking... None of the words I can think of have the right connotation. I need to get better at my insults. I need to get better at insults. What the fuck? Okay, I'm gonna go back to reading. I'm on chapter 29 now. I had started on chapter 16. It is 1:13 in the afternoon. So I've been reading for probably 30 minutes by now. Yeah. So as I'm editing, I'm realizing that I have a lot of footage of me reading. And so, to save my pain and yours, and to cut down on the length of this video, I'm going to either be cutting a lot of the footage, or speeding up extraordinarily fast, in order to avoid tormenting myself with this extremely long video that I'm continuing to edit, because I'm doing the voiceovers in the first round of edits. I have more editing to do. And so I'd like to be able to go back and not suffer in my second round of edits. So I'm going to be cutting a lot of this footage short or speeding it up incredibly quickly, just to save on time in the footage, unless I'm talking about the book, which I will not be doing until I move on to the reappearance of Rachel Price, in which case I will expand monotonously on about the book. But until then, I'm going to cut the reading footage because I don't want to watch myself sit on my bed and read while editing, and I also don't think you guys want to see that. So, we're not going to do that. Cool? Cool. I'm on chapter 31. Oh my god. Oh my god, I wasn't expecting this at all. Like, I wasn't expecting this at all because. Huh? Oh my god. Let's go, lesbians. Let's go. I'm having the time of my fucking life. I'm like 5 chapters away from finishing. Like, what's between my May ring and middle finger is all that's left. Uh, it is 1:24. I'll be done by 1:35, I suspect. Oh my god. Sorry. So I've finished the Spellshop, and I'm reading the. So I knew that Sarah Beth Durst had another book out. It's called The Enchanted Greenhouse, and I knew I wanted to read it, and I knew that that book had the same cat with the wings on it. That's like a little little like just island cat. That's in this book. Um, that's on the cover of this book here. You can see it over the S in Spellshop. Um, I knew that cat was in the Enchanted Greenhouse as well. Now that I've finished this, it's a sequel. I'm so excited. I'm waiting for it to come out in the matching paperback size. Anyway, this was a really good book. This was a really good book. I'm gonna finish reading this preview and then I will consolidate my thoughts. Okay, so this is really good. This is really good. So, I'm sure that editing me is going to put in a voiceover during all the sped up parts where I'm reading, talking about what this book is about. So I'm not going to tell you what the book is about because I've probably already done that. But oh my god, what the fuck? This was really good. There were some twists in there that I was not expecting in the slightest. Totally makes sense given the like sort of political climate that this book is set in. It's set post a revolution, which I'm sure I've already told you. Because editing me is probably really good at their job. This is a lie. I'm not good at my job. Whatever. Anyway, I'm sure editing me has already told you this, but it's set after a revolution takes place and the library burns down. And one of the librarians, Keela, steals a bunch of books, runs away, ends up on the island she grew up on, and is just kind of like freaking out because she doesn't know if she's going to be charged with a crime or not. And, oh my god, this was so good. There were a couple twists in there relating to the political climate. Because again, the island they're on, the island Caltree is Caltree is really isolated from the rest of Elysium. And so they have no idea what the fuck's happening in the outside world. And so there are things to do with the political climate of Elysium that just like pop in, and that I was not expecting. It's so good. I like this book a lot. This was a really, really good book. I'm so excited to read The Enchanted Greenhouse, guys. Oh, The Enchanted Greenhouse! I'm so excited to read The Enchanted Greenhouse. I need it to come out in a small paperback. It's last I saw it was still large paperback, but I haven't looked in a hot minute. So maybe it's short by now. But if it's short, then it's not in chapters. I live close to chapters in Dublin, so if it is, it's not in chapters. So I haven't seen it yet. I need to put this into my. I also have to answer texts. Oh no, who have I ignored? Okay, thankfully I've ignored no one. This is fine. I was like, is this any of this important? No. Okay. I need to put this into my story graph and into my page bound before I forget. Because I will forget. Okay. Spellshop. Mark has finished. Let me make sure that that's reflected in my stats here. Yes, it is. I think. Please tell me that's reflected. Come here. Let me. I would like. There we go. Yes, it is reflected. Perfect. Actually, if I go into my. What am I looking for? I'm looking for something specific. I'm losing my mind. Oh. I've also like dislocated my hip from sitting in this position for too long, so that's fun. For context, I have EDS3 or HEDS or hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I don't sit cross-legged or like still for a reason, and it's because I will dislocate joints, and I have in fact dislocated my hip. It's fine. It doesn't hurt too bad. It's not fully out. It's just kind of crunchy. I'll deal with it. It's fine. Where's the thing I'm looking for? I'm looking for something specific. Oh, there we go. I'm dumb. Wow. Yes. Okay. Cool. It has marked the pages I read. Good. Yes. There we go. That looks correct now. There we go. Oh my goodness. My StarCraft didn't update, and I was like, why is it that should be having read 2 books? Because I finished 2 books this month. What do you mean? Because this month I finished Mistborn this month already, and then I had an arc of Brigands and Bread Knives I needed to finish, which, oh my god, that was such a good book. Oh, I'm so happy I got an arc of that. I did immediately order the Owl Crate edition of it so that I could. Well, okay, I need to nudge this to the side of it so that I could, if I can get this book out. Okay, well that doesn't help. So that I could have a matching copy to my current special editions here of Legends, Lattes, and Bookshops and Bone Dust. I did. I'm gonna mute my microphone before I crumple that up, actually, because that'll pick up. But I did order the matching copy of this, so that'll be coming soon. Hopefully, I'm very excited about it. And when it does, I will be sure to show you guys because I will be going crazy about it for sure. Okay, but yeah, book 1 of the books I need to finish before the end of the month. Done. I'm gonna throw this out. I'm gonna mute the microphone so I don't have to deal with the sound of that when I'm editing. I'm gonna mute the microphone. Throw this out. I still have coffee left. Yeah, I've still got coffee left. I might reheat this. It's cold. I'm gonna reheat this, put it in an actual mug, and then I'll be back. Don't miss me too much. I'm back. Coffee has been moved to a mug. Also add another 2 shots of espresso to it. It's fine. How else was I supposed to get the hot chocolate powder out of the bottom of my mocha, but with more coffee? Right? Right. Okay. Give me 2 shakes and I'm gonna get comfortable and then we're gonna get back into the reading. Also, if you didn't take a stretch break, take a fucking stretch break, bitch. Don't be like me. You'll regret it. Be nice to yourself. Be nice to your joints. Take a stretch break. I straightened up and my spine. Ow. Right, okay. So, my crunchy ass spine aside, I need to figure out what I'm reading next. I'm either going to read Reappearance of Rachel Price or Last Devil to Die. I don't know which one I want to read. This one I've already started, so I might read that one. Because I've also got an audiobook that I haven't finished. The House Switch. The second House Switch book by Delamac. I am... Oh, I didn't put in my page bound. I didn't update my page bound. I need to do that. Okay, 1 second. I am 35%, 36% of the way through the second House Switch book. It's just because it's an audiobook, it takes me longer. I put it on like 1.75, but you know, you can only hear so fast. The reason why I read so fast is because I'm dyslexic, and so I read words as shapes. And so for me, and actually this is probably why Rachel Price is so hard for me, because it's a different font than most books. It's a different font. It's a serif font, and it's a small font, and it's a narrow font, which is weird. Anyway, it's not a bad font. It's totally legible, but it's taken me a bit to like learn the shapes of the words, you know, figure out the shapes of the words, so I can't consume this a paragraph at a time the way I can consume this a paragraph at a time, because basically what I'm doing is I'm looking at a single paragraph in this book, and consuming all of the words at once. Like I'm horrible noise, I'm sorry. But I'm taking in all those words at once and just like inputting them into my brain, and my brain like sorts out what the order is and everything of that, but all of the information comes in at once, which is why I can read so fast. That's why I've got such a high reading per minute. My friend Alex, the Brandon Sanderson nerd, I read faster than him, and he reads fucking fast. He read Isles of the Ember Dark. I'm actually gonna look at this because I don't remember. I can't find the text exchange. However, I know it exists, and I remember it very well, and I remember what it said. And it went something like this. I wanted to pull it up so I could quote it directly, but I can't remember. And look, if I've fucked it up somehow, I'm sure Alex will be in the comments correcting me. Because fuck-ass McGee can't leave me alone. I love you. It was something like this. It was 11 p.m. It wasn't long after As the Ember Dark came out, I don't think. And I get a text from Alex saying, I'm gonna be reading the new Sanderson book. I'll see you at 3 a.m. And I'm like, okay, buddy, sure. Sure. Right. And then sure as shit, 2:55 a.m. rolls around. I'm still awake. Because my sleep schedule is a disaster. 2:55 rolls around, and I get a text from Alex being like, well, I'm done. And I'm like, okay. So 1, you know your own timing. 2, editing Clio here. I have since consulted Alex, and we found the text messages. And I will read them out as follows. This is from in August. And it is... Oh, also, just download the new Sanderson book because I needed to pick me up. I'll message you at 4 a.m. when I put it down. This is from Alex at 11:04 p.m. on August 11th. And then 3:55, so I was wrong in the timing. It wasn't 3 a.m., it was 4 a.m. that he said. And he was 5 minutes before the hour to 4. So at 3:55 a.m. on August 2nd, 12th, he says, whoopsies, it's 4 a.m., and the new Sanderson book is finished. I was remarkably accurate as a joke that I made 5 hours ago. It was, in fact, remarkably accurate as a joke he made 5 hours prior. But yes, we found the messages since my filming. So there's the correction. And now I don't have to deal with Alex being angry in the comments that I couldn't find the messages. Because neither of us could find them. It took a lot of looking. We were looking in the wrong app entirely. Now, anyway, there's your correction. There's your addendum. How did you read that fast? How did you read that fast? How's the Emberdirk's like 800 pages? It's like 800 pages. Just casually. Actually, let me check on Storygraph to see how long it is. Correction, it's not 800 pages. I'm stupid. It's about as big as Well of Ascension. Well of Ascension is... Oh no, it's not. Well of Ascension is way longer. Hang on. And says it's... Okay, so it's apparently 532 pages digitally. Which is exactly this thick. This big of a book. 465 pages in the hardcover. Another edition is 384. This is pretty short for a Sanderson novel. I'm a bit confused. It's a bit short. That's a bit short for a Sanderson novel. I mean, I guess it's a standalone, not one of those bad boys. But it's a bit short, I would say. Anyway, next up, I think I'm gonna keep reading Rachel Price. I have about an hour, before I'll have to start wrapping this up. Doing the outro shiz and stuff. So let's see what I can read in that time. Yeah, let's see what I can read in an hour. It is currently 2:08, in the afternoon. So let's see what I can do. Also, in case everyone's wondering why I'm like pulling out like chunks of pages like this, I split my books when I read. I split my books into 5 or 10 chapters or into 100 pages because this font is throwing me off so bad with Reappearance of Rachel Price. I'm going to be reading it in 50-page or 5-chapter chunks, whichever one is shorter. But generally, I will break a book into 100-page chunks. Generally, that tends to be about 10 chapters, so I tend to go 10 chapters at a time. So I'm pulling out, this is 5 chapters here. So I'm pulling out the set number of chapters, and then I will do it again and again and again. So this is part of how I keep my momentum while reading. In case you were wondering what the hell I'm doing here. Also, the lighting is getting weird because it was lighter out earlier. My window is partially open. It was lighter out earlier, but I think a storm's gonna come in. I mean, it was raining a little bit earlier, but it was... I don't know, man. This room doesn't have great lighting. Like, if I open this up all the way, everything... Because my sheets are white, as you can tell. They're white and green. Everything will be, like, reflected. My microphone's white. The books are white. I'm gonna have to color... Like, I'm a fucking ghost. I match printer paper in reflectiveness. I'm gonna have to like color grade the footage before I even think about editing. And editing it together. I'm gonna have to color grade it. I'm really glad I know how to color grade though, because it's a cosplayer thing. I do a lot of my own editing for photos, and I need to edit so many photos. I need to write so many book reviews. But I'm really glad I know how to color grade, because otherwise, oh man, you guys would not want to see what I'm looking at on my footage, because my monitor is directly in front of me, which is why I keep looking in front of me and not up at the camera up here, but in front of me, because the camera's up there. My monitor's in front of me, and all I can see is how blown out everything is, how white everything is blown out. And I'm gonna have to color grade this now I'm back. Oh my god. But yeah, I mean, I'm really glad I know how to color grade, because otherwise I wouldn't know what to do with this footage. Well. Live and learn. But yeah, this room doesn't have great lighting. I mean, I wanted to do film during the day, which is why I'm filming during the day, because then I could get some natural light in, but also getting natural light in this room is also a double-edged sword because it's just not good quality lighting. So everything's just, blown out. I mean, if this desk faced that way, faced the window, it would be great because then the camera would adjust to meet my face being lit. Because it's lighting me from the side, and then I have my light on up here because it's actually not enough light from internal, like inside the room. I don't have enough lighting from inside the room. I had to fight for like 30-40 minutes before I even started filming just to get the lighting right because it was I just couldn't do it. And even now I'm not fully happy with it because there's so many shadows being cast on my face from my glasses and from like my own nose, my hair. It's driving me crazy. I'm doing my best, but it's making me feel bananas. So it's fine. Fine. It's fine. Anyway, I'm gonna get back into reading. I just wanted to explain why I keep pulling out like chunks of the book as I go, and I did this with Spellshop as well. Just because it helps me keep my momentum, and I'm gonna get that momentum back going. And shut the fuck up. It's voiceover Clio again, here to tell you about the reappearance of Rachel Price. Once again, gonna start with the blurb, and then I'm gonna yap about it. I haven't read further than what I read to in this, so I don't actually know the ending yet. I have media literacy, and I know what's happening, but I also don't know for sure. So, you know. Anyway, the blurb on the back. 18-year-old Belle has lived her whole life in the shadow of her mom's mysterious disappearance. 16 years ago, Rachel Price vanished, and young Belle was the only witness. Rachel is gone, presumed dead. The case is dragged up from the past when the Price family agrees to a true crime documentary. Belle can't wait for filming to end, for life to go back to normal. But then Rachel Price reappears, and life will never be normal again. This book is about true crime and about like the lack of ethics within true crime on occasion. It's a fascinating book. It's fascinating so far. I am only 171 pages in. But which is about like 40% of the way through. But it is fascinating. And it feels very much like the kind of thing that, like, real true crime documentaries are written about. You know what I mean? I think my mom would like this book. For context, if you remember my last video, my mom really likes true crime. I really like true crime. We watch a lot of true crime together. I think, and we talk about the ethics of it a lot. I think she'd really like this book. I'll probably bring it back for her so she can read it. But it's about, like, the efficacy of true crime and, like, how filmmakers take advantage of victims. And then, of course, there's the element of Rachel Price comes back, and then, you know, the fact that it's pretty clear from the outset that she's also come back to take advantage of Belle, in the way that the filmmakers are as well. Everyone wants a piece of the pie, everyone wants a bit of the money. You know, and so I you know, it really, like, reads to the thesis that people are killed for sex, money, or power, above all else. And I just, it's so fascinating. And it's also, like, the way that, like, it's also sort of about the way that young women aren't always believed, you know, and female victims aren't always believed about things, because no one believes her, that Rachel is lying. And everyone's like, no, it's Rachel, Rachel's back, and she's like, she's lying. Why will no one listen to me? And so again, it feels very reminiscent of a young adult. I remember being 18 and feeling like no one was listening to me, and feeling like I didn't, like I was adrift, you know, kind of thing, and feeling all these feelings and feeling like people weren't being entirely honest with me, that people couldn't see me as an adult or couldn't see me as a child. They couldn't see me as either one or the other, and I remember feeling like that. And Holly Jackson really does a good job at writing a character who feels like that, who's at that age, who's 18 and is like about to go to college and is about to graduate high school and is like doesn't know what's happening really and doesn't know who she is or who she should be, especially because her whole life has been shaped by a really traumatic event that she doesn't even remember. And it's just like Holly Jackson grasps like teenage girls really well, like older teenage girls really well. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder is like my favorite book, one of my favorite books, and like her skill with writing Pip carries over to how she writes Belle. She writes Belle in a very similar way to Pip. They're very different people, but the way they are framed up as 18-year-olds who don't really know who they are, what they want to be, who have all these expectations laid out for them, and whose lives have been, marred by violence. Whether that's the violence inherent to being, a young woman, or the actual violent events that occur prior to the books, to both A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and The Reappearance of Rachel Price's beginnings. She grasps that, like, sort of like your life is defined by the violence you've experienced kind of thing, really well, and how how young adults and young teenagers tend to grapple with that very poorly, because they're not equipped to handle that. They're not old enough to handle that. I mean, I'm 22 and I wouldn't call myself old enough to grapple with that. I would be equally as much of a mess, I think. And and there's a little detail of like Rachel never calls Belle Belle. She always calls her Anna. Anna, 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 Anna. And Belle's like, no, my name is Belle. No one calls me Belle. No one calls me Anna or Annabelle. Everyone calls me Belle. Call me Belle. And it's this sort of like thought of this like concept of like, even though she's 18, she has no autonomy, right? And Rachel doesn't see her as an autonomous person. Rachel sees her as an extension of herself. And it's like this small detail that really shows like how like Rachel doesn't see Belle as a person, and sees Belle sort of like as a prop in her whole story. It's just Holly Jackson has her finger on something here, and I really like it. And I might actually after doing some editing, I might finish this. And if that's the case, then I will come back in with another voiceover. To talk about the ending, but like this book, like there's something about the older teenage girl experience in here that I understand and I really like, and I think it's really fascinating to like read these kinds of books as like sort of like an extension of that, of that, because there's a lot of violence inherent to being a woman, and especially a young woman. So yeah. I don't know. I think this is really good, and I'm gonna send you back to me. And I think this next bit that I'm gonna talk in, I think is me talking about the efficacy of true crime. So, buckle up. I am back on my soapbox. You cannot get rid of me. I'm so sorry. So, of course, this is a Holly Jackson book, and so it's a it's a murder mystery. People already be lying. People already be lying. Ah! I've only just finished chapter 10. And people are already lying. They're already lying. Ah! I've taken my hip out of the socket again. Ow. Anyway, we're thriving here. I'm gonna try to get that back in while I talk. So people are already lying. So as for those of you who are not familiar with this book, I'm sure voiceover for me has already said a bunch of stuff about this, so if she has, she'll cut it out from what I'm about to say. But this book is about about a woman who went missing, Rachel Price, and her popping back up. Rachel Price has just finally reappeared after 10 years? No, 16 years. 16 years. She disappeared 16 years ago. And it's about her daughter, Annabelle Bell. And it's about basically Rachel reappears after 16 years. Belle is now 18. They're filming like a true crime documentary, like a docuseries. Super unethical one too. It's like not one of the well done, sensitively done ones. It's like this book is also about the like the ethical the ethical or unethical nature. There we go. Of true crime. And about how like a lot of true crime is done in a really unethical way that really does a disservice and harm to the victims. I care a lot about this because I really like true crime. I'm a true crime girly, through and through. I like the science of true crime. I've got a book over here that's called The Natural History of Crime, and I've checked out Huntington Lane from the library, so I'll probably read those next month as well, which would be really nice if I have the time. But I checked out Huntington Lane from the library yesterday, and I have The Natural History of Crime over there as well. You know, I mean it's I like true crime. I like true crime. I consider doing criminology. And I'm doing environmental science right now, natural science right now. And there's a full likelihood that I could end up doing forensics through that. I like journalism. I could also end up doing, science journalism. That's also a thing that is on my radar. For careers. But I've always liked true crime, but I've always been nervous about the way that sometimes they're covered. Because sometimes people can be really flippant about crimes, or be really obsessed with the killer or with the perpetrator. When really we should be focusing on the victims, kind of thing. And so I'm enjoying the fact that this is very much focused on like, okay, this is the nature of the true crime industry, and it is gross as hell. It is gross. It is nasty. And it doesn't do people it does victims a disservice half the time. I'm pretty picky about my true crime consumption for this exact reason. I like a journalist. There is a book which is all the way over there in my bookshelf. So I have book cart here, books behind the bed, and then there's a bookshelf over here. I can't see the book from here. No, and I don't know if it's here or if it's in my parents' house, but I can look it up and tell you what it is. It's about Elizabeth Holmes. And the author of it is an investigative journalist who's been investigating her from the start. Bad Blood by John Carreyrou. There we go. Bad Blood, Secrets and Lies in a Silicon Valley Startup. I loved that book so much. That was a really good true crime book. And that was more of like a synthesis of his like investigation over years, and him finally being able to like, talk about his sources and stuff like that. And it was so good. It was so good. I would recommend. Yeah. But like things like that I really like. Because generally they're done like if you're an actual journalist, you have some form of ethics that you're required to abide by. You're not some schmuck on the internet, which, not to say that some schmuck on the internet can't be a good like investigative journalist or independent journalist. They do it all the time, but like there's this level of journalistic integrity that comes from like actually having an education or working in journalism, in like regular journalism or like traditional investigative journalism, that I think a lot of people miss with like the YouTube journalism stuff. And so I or like even just like the sensationalism of true crime, filmmakers can just pick up a story and run with it. So I'm really liking the fact that it's very much heavily focusing on the fact that they're kind of exploiting Belle. And it also goes over the fact that, sometimes it's, when the victim or is like a minor, um, it's not necessarily them who makes that decision. Um, Sorry, I've been interrupted by a friend who has sent me a slide from his political science class that just has Danmai on it. I have so many questions. He's sending this to me because he knows I like the genre. Because I read a lot of Danmai. I have so much Danmai in my room. Oh my god. Oh, and the worst thing is I recognize all of these. Anyway, that interruption aside, that was the best fucking interruption I could have gotten. I will ask him if I could show the slide, and if I can, the slide will be inserted here so you can see what I was interrupted with. Because that was delightful. Delightful. Anyway, back to my soapbox about the efficacy of true crime. I really like the fact that Holly is talking about this because, like, all of her stuff, all of like her books are very much in that sort of like pseudo, like true crimey area. So like A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, goes into Good Girl, Good Girl, Bad Blood. Pip starts a podcast. Pip becomes one of those schmucks on the internet, kind of thing. Except because Pip is, like very tight with a victim of a crime, she's a bit more sensitive about it. And also it's about her investigation. It's about her, journalistic integrity and stuff like that. A bit similar to how Bad Blood about Elizabeth Holmes is about John Carreyrou's own investigation. And I think that that's the important bit, is that when you do true crime, you need to be the one doing the investigation. And also, whether it's synthesizing, information from other sources, or actually doing like proper investigations, whatever you have access to, you can't just be regurgitating other people's information and being like, and that's so sensational and so interesting, it's so cool, and like, it's so fucking annoying. It's so fucking annoying. I'm gonna get off my soapbox and keep reading it, but like, I don't know. If you want me to script an actual video about the ethics of true crime, let me know. I'm sure I could do that. It would only take me months to script. Anyway, back to the book. Okay, not back to the book. From same friend. Quote from the professor. Does everyone know what BL literature is? I think I'd like to go home now. Anyway, I'm putting my phone down. Going back to the book. God, I love Holly Jackson. There are just some like little details in the like writing here where I'm like, oh, I see what you're putting down. I see that I'm picking up what you're putting down here. I have the media literacy to understand that you're trying to point out something here, and I know what you're pointing out. I'm not going to say what it's pointing out because spoilers. But if you've read this book, this is right after Rachel comes to the house, in chapter 11. And there's a note about her hygiene. It's the little things, man. It's the little things. I see what Holly's putting down, and I'm picking it right up. I get it. I get it. I get it. Oh, it's so good. Oh, I love this so much. It when I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, I full on like murder stringed everything. Now, looking at this, uh it it's pretty obvious to me what has happened here. Again, is this me consuming too much true crime? Maybe. Is this me being familiar with how Holly Jackson writes? Maybe. But I know what's happened in this book. I know what's happened. 16 years ago. I can guess. I can figure it out. But my question is why? And that's the little more important bit. But I'm like picking up what's being put down about what's happened, and I'm like, oh yeah. So I'm right. So I'm right. So I'm right. And it's like little things about like different characters' behavior and like that little note about her hygiene, Rachel's hygiene. And it's like, that's a weird thing. That's a weird inconsistency. That's odd. That's strange. It's like these kinds of things where I'm like, suspicious. Suspicious. And I'm just enjoying it. I'm enjoying this a lot. I don't know. I like things where it's like little throwaway lines that are really important, and I'm like, what? Anyway, I'm gonna put this back down and keep reading. Sorry, I'm interrupting myself about this friend again. She says there's lots of BL in Hodges Vegas. Yes, there is. This is where I get. I'm gonna have to text him back and be like, yes, this is where I get. That's where I get all my BL. I've got to get his permission to put this slide in. I'm praying that I've gotten to show you guys that slide, because I'm gonna keep interrupting myself to update about this lecture my friend's having, because it's the fucking funniest thing I've ever seen in my life, and you guys are the audience who would enjoy this shit. So, okay, so I'm through chapter 20, 171 pages in. I'm actually gonna put that into my story graph real quick, so I can tell you exactly the percentage that I'm at. 171, save. I am 39% of the way through this book. Yeah, that looks like 39% of the way through. Hi everyone. Me from December. One of the great things about me being really bad about keeping my promises about when I'm gonna finish editing things is that I get to come in on December 9th and be like, yes, I did finish this book. I finished this on the 2nd of December. Really good thing about me being really slow at editing is that I get to insert clips like this later and talk about the books that I'm reading that I didn't finish on camera in that reading vlog. And I get to tell you about the ending. I promised you I would. And so here I am. And so I'm just inserting this clip in here to talk about the ending of this book. I can't remember if I said this or not, but the start of this book for me was pretty slow. I didn't get into it as fast as I thought I would. But by the time I reached like chapter 10, 15, I was hooked in. And the ending of this book is phenomenal. There are some twists that happen later on about like, and I was right. I did know what had happened. To a point. But I was totally right. I knew what had happened. I was wrong about the motives. And I was wrong about some of what happened, which was delightful, because something like this, like a book like this, it sets you up to go down a very specific path of like, especially if you're like into true crime, it sets you up to go down a path that you're probably going to know what's going on. But the ending of this was phenomenal. There were some like revelations to be had that I was not expecting at all. And I had such a good time. It was so well written and well rounded as a book. Oh, it was delightful. I loved this book actually. And I would love to um talk about this in like a setting in which I can discuss it with spoilers, but I can't here because this is a reading vlog and I hadn't finished it when I was filming this, and I've been very careful in talking about the Spellshop and the Reappearance of Rachel Price to not give spoilers. Um, but the ending of this book is phenomenal. Um, is it a bit like unrealistic? But yeah, it's a book. You gotta suspend some reality here. But it is something that I can see being the desired outcome, of situations like this. Would it ever be the real outcome? Hell no. Hell no. But God, it's the ideal one. It's the ideal ending. Um, and I will say, if you want to read The Reappearance of Rachel Price, I'm going to give you some trigger warnings. This is a book about domestic violence. Full stop. Um, it's about domestic violence. It's about the people who do like horrible things in the name of their conscience. Um, and about it's a like the subtext of this book is nasty. Horrifying shit happens. There is not child death, but child loss in a sense towards the end. There's a lot going on here that is very much domestic violence, domestic violence, um, abuse, narcissistic abuse, gaslighting, a lot of that kind of behavior and stuff like that. So if that is something that is very upsetting to you, run for the hills. Loss of a child, child endangerment, um, yeah, so there are some things that if there are some sensitive spots for you, I would suggest not reading this book in that regard, but if you either don't have those sensitive spots or are willing to confront them, um this is absolutely a fantastic book. Yeah, no, it is mwah, phenomenal. Phenomenal. And I can't recommend this enough to people. But yeah, since I finished this, I figured, like I did with Spellshop, I should probably insert a clip of me yapping about how much I liked the book. I loved this book so much. Um, I'm hoping the next book I read from Holly Jackson to be Five Survive. Um, but I also haven't finished the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, so I need to read Good Girl, Bad Blood. So either Five Survive and Good Girl, Bad Blood are going to be my next Holly Jackson books. I have both of them. I don't know. I have both of them here in Dublin. Um, so that would be ideal, I think. Um, but yeah, I am such a huge fan of this book. I had a great time. I devoured the last half of the book of this book in an hour, hour and a half. So would recommend. But again, keep the trigger warnings in mind. There is a lot of domestic violence, a lot of and not necessarily physical domestic violence. It's the more insidious kinds, the subtler kinds, the manipulations and all that kind of stuff. So be warned. Take care of yourselves. And I will let you get back to Clio from the day before Thanksgiving. For when I end up continuing to yap. Um, but yes, I would recommend this book entirely. But just be careful with yourself, guys. Okay? Okay. I'll let you get back to me from the past. And I have run out of time to read for today. So, I hope you guys enjoyed and got some reading done, or did something interesting, did your chores, washed your dishes, did your laundry, what have you, while I was reading. If you've read any of these books or have recommendations for books I should read, please leave them down below. And if you have any other ideas of things you want to see from me, again, leave them in the comments below. I'm gonna have to go head off now and pack my bag for a little thing I'm going to tonight. Hopefully this will be up on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, so a few days. There's gonna be minimal editing here, I can promise you that. But yeah, please like, share, subscribe, all those fun things. And until next time, ta! Happy reading!